TRP National Motocross Action is proudly brought to you by Tinswallow Lodges, where else in the world, and all our associate sponsors. Welcome to Phakisa MX Park for the penultimate round of the TRP National Motocross Championships. It's a fantastic effort that's been put in by the team here, and they have created a fabulous circuit for the penultimate round. This time out, we're going to be looking at the 65s, the 125s, and the MX2s, and everybody out here in Phakisa's come out to watch as well. That's really good to see, because all of a sudden, there's a big resurgence to come to Phakisa Freeway and be part and parcel of some great championship action. Particularly on the dirty stuff, and at Phakisa MX Park, we're going to be in for some great action, there's no doubt about it. A couple of championships could be wrapped up here today. I don't think many people realize how much effort gets put into creating a circuit like this, not only from the circuit side, but from the sponsors and from the Motocross Commission. There's a huge amount of effort that gets put in to ensure that we can go racing and that everybody can battle hard, particularly for these final championship points that are available. The flags are up, and it looks like down in the gate, 65cc's ready to go now. The front end of this field, it's Neil van der Vyver who's looking to try and wrap things up. He's got a bit of a fight on his hands. Liam Boerter kept him honest at the previous round. You can see a couple of guys using additional steps there just to keep them upright. And Blake Frost ready to go now in the gates. Final bit of check there from our COC. The board is about to change from 15 seconds to 5. You'll see those eyes go down. And here we go for MX65s. Down towards turn 1, Bridgestone corner. Looks like it's a 747 there. Jordan van Wyk looking for an opportunity to take the whole shot. He's got it. He goes through there and leads things out. But right on his tail and flying through there is Van der Vyver. Van der Vyver got a good start as well. He sits in second place. In fact, no, he sits in third. It was a fantastic start from Liam Boerter, who just squeezed him out through the top section. Going past that Tinswallow step up, he managed to just get ahead. Ooh, nearly going down there, Trey Cox, catching a little bit of the dirt that's now started to rut up compared to what they saw earlier on today in the practice sessions. Remember, these guys run the full circuit, so they are definitely going to feel the effects on the small wheels now. And there you have it. Oh, and getting clipped as well. 423 Aston Martin with nowhere to go, and the rider going down there with a big problem. And right at the top end of the field as well, just past that Tinswallow step up, there's a big issue. But the top three now are starting to get away. Van der Vyver is starting to close down on Boerter. Van der Vyver looking to maintain that red plate and maintain the championship. Trey Cox making up ground now and trying to close things down there on Blade Tilley. Good run there from the local man. He's had a fantastic outing. Change up for the lead. Wow, there you go. Liam Boerter hits the front and gets ahead. Jordan van Wyk had no answer there, and he's now going to have to watch out in the rearview mirrors, because here comes Neil van der Vyver. 717 Damon Garrell fighting hard there with Trey Cox, and just behind them, it's Blade Tilley who's fighting there with Damien Venter and Jack Pullen. What a battle here in the 65s. One of the best we've seen all day. But at the front end, Liam Boerter is getting away from these guys. There's Damon Garrell pushing hard and trying to close things down there on their battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th place. In the top 10, this is the battle for 9th and 10th, and Jack Pullen trying to close down now. He's got a bit of a fight on his hands there with Thor Johnson. Nice. Riders down. You can see yellow flags being waved. So going to be just be careful that they don't go past and cause any trouble for the rider that's down, or cause any problems for themselves. No jumping. They have to roll the berms and roll the jumps when there's a yellow flag. No rolling out here for Liam Boerter. He's disappearing at the front end as he goes through the gurney section now, past that twin air turn. This is a fantastic effort here from this young man. There's no answer from the CIT Husqvarna off Van Wyk, and he's been closed down rapidly as they go through gurney, as you can see there, by Van der Vyver. And this is a big battle. Damon Garrell being closed down by the 37 of Trey Cox. At Motul Alfie Cox KTM. Oh, and look at this. This is a fantastic ride coming out of Blade Tilley. He's slowly but surely closed them down, and in fact, rapidly closed them down. It's fantastic to see. Just behind that, Damien Venter. He's fighting for 7th place, all on his own though. Not really anybody to play with. And a little bit further down there, you can see a battle with this Matthew Carrera, who's about to be lapped by the leaders. One of the youngsters at the back end there, Kasim Hassim, also being caught by the leaders. Problems here for Nickel Smith. I'm not quite sure what went wrong there. Nickel Smith has had a fantastic season so far. Here, he really has battled. Something went wrong here in Phakisa, and it hasn't worked out for the youngster. He's usually up there with his teammate, and you can see Liam Boerter just taking this in his stride and getting away. Van der Vyver's up to second now. So a bit of a change up there, and you can see that Van der Vyver's made his move and got through on Jordan van Wyk. So a little bit of time left into play here, and it's 17 and 18 running in numerical order for 1st and 2nd on track. How far back is he? Oh, Van Wyk comes back at him though. Van Wyk has closed that gap down again. You see, he made a small mistake using the different line coming out of the Motul turn there. And now through twin air, it's Liam Boerter. Here they come through out of Africa. What a run here from Jordan van Wyk. Made a small mistake that allowed Van der Vyver to get through, but now he's trying to return the favour and come back at him. This is great dicing. Coming to the closing stages, you can see these guys are not going to hold anything back, and Van Wyk looks like he might have just lost out there with a bit of back markers coming into play. and come over that big tabletop just past the finish line. Yes, he has. He's been caught out by the back markers there ever so slightly, and he's lost a lot of ground. And coming up on the back end of the 29 bike there, Blake Frost, and it looks like Blade Tilly is slowly but surely starting to close things down. He looks like he could be in for a podium finish here. This is a great effort there from the youngster. Coming through there is Louis Mustard on the Line X Yamaha, but here comes Cox now with a lap to go, and Trey Cox has pulled a bit of a gap now over Blade Tilly. It's not as close as what it was earlier on. And you can see the local man just trying to put in as much as he can to stay out front. Out front though, right at the front of the field. Look at that, through the whoops. And absolutely no worries at all there for Liam Buerta. One more look over the shoulder just to make sure that Neil van der Vyver is not too close. As they come out of Africa, he's going to head down into Gurney. And this is a fantastic run here from Liam Buerta. They're going to the checkered flag, so final lap has been called already. And it looks like Neil van der Vyver is going to have to settle for second place. Second place should still retain him the championship lead heading into the final round. And let's have a look at the overall results from the 65s for the day. Van der Vyver takes it over Liam Buerta, winning the second heat. And Trey Cox comes through for third place overall. BTR Jordan van Wyk, Damon Garrell, Pullen, Blade Tilly, and Thor Johnson. Up on the podium there, you can see a happy man. Let's see what's going to happen as they get to the final round at Teratopia. Heading straight into MX2s now. A massive battle expected at the front end. One big story we've got to talk about, though, is Anthony Reynard. He's the championship leader coming into this round, and he's got international duties he's going to have to keep in the back of his mind, because he heads off straight after this round into duties with his two teammates for the Des Nations event. So let's see how that's going to affect his ability here on the bike. 5-second board comes up, and we're ready to go racing. His eyes go down. Oh, and there's big smoke and dirt coming out of there as they rip it up into turn one. Bridgestone corner. Who's got the hole shot? Is it going to be Kieran Fitzgerald to take another hole shot? It is indeed. Fitzgerald has now gone 5 out of 5 for hole shots in African Championship Racing. He hangs on with his teammate right on his tail. Look at Bubba around the outside there. Good start from Mlimi. Not such a good start coming out of Sladesmith, but he's made it up into turn 2. Look where Reynard is. Reynard is down in 11th and 12th place as they come out into the Out of Africa turn. Big step up over Tsintwalo, now coming back towards us over the modal jump and down on the braking point. Here comes Brad Cox is in there too. I was about to say Jesse Wright and Brad Cox were side by side coming down there. At the back end, you've got Nathan Victor, Hickson Mahoney just ahead of him, and a little bit of issues there for Mark Cardy. Didn't quite get the start he wanted. This is the start you want though. Disappearing at the front end, Red Bull KTM's 1 and 2, and Kieran Fitzgerald keeping his teammates at bay. Up into third place is Jesse Wright. Behind that, it's Slade Smith. Then they come through. Slade Smith starting to close down on right. And behind that, it's Cox and Phakisa. Then you've got Ricky Raff, who's up there on the 252. Cam DeRoe making a welcome return after some big injuries, both locally and internationally. So he's going to be taking it a little bit more gingerly and just trying to finish up the season as high up as he can. The man leading things out, though, Kieran Fitzgerald, has literally gone back-to-back victories, not only here in South Africa, but also at the African Motocross of Des Nations. So awesome stuff from him. Hickson Mahoney with a slightly different line. That kept Reynard out. Reynard had to think twice there on the Tsintwalo Yamaha, and had to just back out of that corner. So this is how it all goes. Up over the big Tsintwalo step up. Look at that, the 250s with no issues at all on that big jump as they head up to the top end of the circuit. Coming back down towards us now, still out front, Fitzgerald, Mlimi in second. Mlimi is closing down though, the lap times are starting to show it, and there's a change up for third. Slade Smith on the CRT Husqvarna up into third place. Cox now trying to catch the back end of that Out of Africa and Monster Energy Yamaha of Jesse Wright. Wright has had a fantastic season. Great to see him back in National Championship Racing, and slowly but surely making his way to the front end. There's a potential win coming on for Jesse Wright if he keeps up this kind of pace when they get to Teratopia. He's got to try and find a way through on Slade Smith if he wants the podium though. Smith's just pulling away ever so slightly. And there you can see on the sideline, bit of concern there from Mr. Reynard as they go through. Reynard has not made his way through at all. He's battling to find opportunities to pass. He really battles a little bit with the hard pack here. It's the surface that he's not used to. Remember, most of the time he spends is in Cape Town, and that's on very soft soil. Oh, bit of roost there coming off the back end. You can see on the sideline, that is his teammate for the Des Nations, and Lloydie just sticking around and checking out what's happening. But Reynard has got to do some maneuvering now. He slowly but surely got through, and I think he's just found his way past on Phakisa. He's closing in on right. So there's a good chance of possibly a top 5 here. That may just secure him the championship lead after this race, but if he doesn't finish up in the top 3 or take a win in race 2, there's a very good chance that the lead might change up. Oh, this is great stuff from Red Bull KTM's 1 and 2. CRT Husqvarna with Slade Smith on board in third place as they come out of that Tsintwalo and Out of Africa turn, heading up towards that big step up. Right, being closed down. Where is Reynard? Reynard looks like he's dropped back again. Reynard's made a small mistake on track again, and he's dropped back a little bit again. So Anthony Reynard now with some work to do. There's the top two getting away on the Red Bull KTMs. It's Fitzgerald and Mlimi. Cox now into fourth. And how far back is Reynard? It can't be too far back. There he comes. So slowly but surely making his way to the front, and all of a sudden being closed down by the 122. Now the 122 is Cam McClellan, the third of the Red Bull KTMs, doing double duties today in 125s as well as in the 250 class, just getting a bit of experience out there and a little bit more training. And 3 Red Bull KTMs, 2 of them at the front end and the 1 at the back, fighting hard with the usual suspects. Speaking of usual suspects, Phakisa has been caught again by Reynard. Can he find a way through this time? Reynard definitely looking for a chance to get up into that top 5. He has to get there. Otherwise, this championship might be just slipping out of his hands. Big charge on here from Jesse Wright to try and hang on for the last part of this. He also can see, and the boards are telling him that Reynard is coming. So he's going to have to be very wary on both Cox and Reynard's last-ditch efforts here. Ooh, a little wide there from Mlimi. You can see the track starting to rut up, and some of the ruts even breaking away. And that one caught Mlimi out ever so slightly. Here comes Reynard. Reynard now onto Cox and onto Volkslang with only a couple of laps to go. Absolutely nothing in between these two. But just you can see tandem and formation flying coming out of the 2 Red Bull KTMs at the front end. Fitzgerald, though, is just on a high at the moment. He really has not put a wheel wrong in any of the racing he's done over the last 5 races, whether they were at Des Nations or here in South Africa. He's gone incredibly well, and so is his teammate. Now let's see if Reynard can catch Cox, and can he catch Wright? Third place, all on his own sim at this stage, with no one ready to play with Slade Smith, and just not quite bridging the gap there to the top 2. But hanging on for a podium, that's for sure. Fitzgerald's doing it all right, though, that is for sure. Coming out of Twin Air, heading down towards that gurney bump. And all of a sudden, here comes Reynard onto the back end of Wright. He's right there with the back end of Cox as well, so Cox and Wright are in trouble here. And you can see just how hard Reynard is pushing in the background there, but here we go with Slade Smith. He's actually caught onto the back end of Josh Mlimi. So they might just be taking it easier. Remember, it's a long 18 minutes out there. It's a tough day in the saddle when the track starts to rut up. You can see different lines on those jumps now. You cannot afford to cross-rut those bikes going into the jumps. Otherwise, you could be ending up very sore on the sideline. Cam McClellan having a fantastic run here in the closing stages. He's got right onto the back end there of Johan Phakisa and fighting with Ricky Raff. So Mlimi comes into the Thor turn, and he sits in second place. But that's how close his arch rival is in terms of Slade Smith. Different lines at the top end of the circuit here just after that Sinswalo step up. It's so good to see most of them using that inside line with the jump as opposed to taking the fast one around the outside. Right being closed down now by Reynard. Looks like Reynard's got through on Brad Cox, so Cox dropping back slightly. He'll be out of the top 5 if he stays where he is right now. 1 and 2 go through. Here comes third place, and Slade Smith trying to catch the back end of Mlimi. He did make up some ground. Mlimi's doing the same thing out of Fitzgerald, but Fitzgerald might have just rolled off ever so slightly. Just concentrating on getting the job done and getting to that checkered flag. Important that he gets that checkered flag. It's going to bring him into contention for another championship. Jesse Wright's in trouble. It's a Yamaha battle here. It's Sinswalo Yamaha versus the Out of Africa Yamaha, and they're both going at it for the final part of this race. Cox has dropped back ever so slightly. He's lost some ground there, but he's also been closed down by Phakisa in the closing stages too. So we got 2 KTMs and 2 Yamahas fighting for what could be the end of the top 5. Oh! Big one there! And going down, Hickson Mahoney makes a big mistake. Being helped out by the medic who actually fell over trying to get the bike off him. But thank goodness the medic was there to sort him out almost instantaneously. So Kieran Fitzgerald's got 1 to go now as he heads into the closing stages here of Heat 1. His teammate Josh Mlimi is right there. So it's Red Bull TRP KTMs 1 and 2 on the road. Slade Smith comfortable in third place. I don't think Reynard's got enough time to catch him unless something goes wrong here. But Smith has been very, very good. He's trying to hang on now for a podium. As he gets out and heads into that final lap, up over the first jump, heading towards that Ridgeway race bar turn, you can see just how hard these guys are pushing at the back, and Reynard's day is not done yet. Jesse Wright might have been overtaken, but he's not giving up just yet. Further back there, Nathan Victor having a bit of a fight. You can see he's been with Mark Carty all weekend long. Cam McClellan's in there as well, so is Cam DeRoe. And those guys also fighting for top 10 honours. Just outside the top 10 there is Carty at this stage. You can see all of a sudden Hickson Mahoney has got back up again, and so has Ricky Raff. Cam McClellan, well, he's just taking it easy out there. Remember, he's getting a bit of experience on a 250. It'll be the first or second time he's ever ridden a 250, so good to see this, and good to see the crowds coming out here to support. For the first win, it's Red Bull KTM's 1 and 2 across the line. And Mlimi comes through. In fact, it's 1, 2, and 3, because it looks like Cam McClellan just snuck in between the two of them to get all 3 bikes across the line almost instantaneously. Confirmation of that first race result, though. Fitzgerald takes it ahead of him. Leamy, the 2 Red Bull KTMs 1 and 2, ahead of Slade Smith on the CIT Husqvarna. Then it was Reynard, Jesse Wright, Brad Cox, Phakisa and Ricky Raff on the Summit Racing bike in 8th.
Yeah, it was good. Josh and Kieran were on it. I couldn't catch them. I fatigued through the second half of the motor, but I managed to hold on third with Anthony behind me. Just like to thank my team, CIT, Dunlop, Fly, Liqui Molly, and my mom, my dad, everyone else behind me that supports me. Thanks.
Welcome back to Phakisa MX Park at Valcom, right alongside the famous Phakisa Freeway for TRP's penultimate round of action. The National Motocross Championship coming out here to the Phakisa MX Park, and everybody standing by, including some big spectators on the sideline. They've been entertained both in the dirt and on the tarmac this weekend. It's been great to see so much effort being put in on both sides of this famous track. Gates down for 125s as they head down to the turn 1. The championship could be wrapped up here if Dalton Venter can just finish up in the top 3. Venter goes through there in second place, and it looks like he's just been outgunned there by Cam McClellan, or was that Miguel Duval who just snuck through? There's some great starts coming out of Jono. In fact, no, it's Jono Mlimi. It's Jono Mlimi who hit the front and whole shots. A welcome return now for the big man as he comes back into racing after a couple of injuries have kept him sidelined. He's been itching to get back on a bike, and you can see he's very hungry to be at the front end. Let's see how good that fitness is, though. He's always very good at the start, and of course being a little bit rusty now, let's see whether or not he can stay up front there. McClellan is up into third place, and the rest of the pack comes streaming through there. Top of Travis Goosen. Behind that you can see a nice start from Callan Broski as well, and the 1-2-1 at the back is the final rider, Nathan Mabry, not quite getting the start he wanted. Change up for the lead. Looks like Venter's hit the front and got through. So Mlimi drops down into second place, into the clutches of his teammate, and it looks like there's going to be a bit of a fight here between the 2 Red Bull KTMs. Cam McClellan now in the race he wants to be in, as opposed to what we just saw now in the 250s where he's getting a bit of practice. How was that maneuver? Jean-Jacques just diving on the inside, and problems here. Jean-Ray Van der Mesch just crashing out at 100%. Didn't quite work out there for him, unfortunately, but he's able to get back upright. Hopefully we'll be able to continue. Out front, though, this is what he needs to do. Dalton Fenton needs to take this win, or just at least be in the top 3 to wrap up the 125 category for 2019. 39 is Christian Saliers, and the normal battle has resumed there between the 2 Yamahas of Saliers and Calvin Jean-Jacques. And then you've got Tristan Granger in there as well from Zimbabwe. What a run there from him. He was coming off a fantastic effort up in Zimbabwe at the African Motocross of Nations. Broski starting to make his way up as well. Fighting there with Goosen and with Verstaer. Arnie Simon just ahead of them. As they come flying over that big motal jump into the motal whoops, the 26 bike is Miguel Duval, slowly but surely coming to the front end and becoming a factor. So as they come up into those whoops, it's Venter who leads out, and it's McClellan who's closing him down. Look at the gap that the 2 of them have pulled. Clearly the 2 of them are a bit of a class of the field in terms of the events here today, and no one really even close to the kind of pace that those 2 can run. All problem is McClellan's made a mistake. McClellan goes down. Oh, commentators curse there for Cam. There goes Mlimi, and all of a sudden he's got Saliers in there too. So Camden's going to have to come back, and Duval is up there as well. What a run there from Miguel Duval. Mixter looking for a chance now to get to the front end, possibly even spoil the day out for this man. So Mlimi comes through for second, and there's the battle for third. 4 of them can make it 5 because Granger's not too far off the back end of them, and neither is Arnu Simon. This is great stuff in the 125s. No Fear Brigade, as we like to call them. The Brat Pack, as lots of people call them as well. There's absolutely nothing that these guys hold back on. Mixter starting to close up there and has got a chance of getting through on Mlimi. He looks on the inside. So does Cam McClellan. McClellan's going to go on the inside now as they head down towards that big motal jump. Mixter just behind that. Yo, it's tight. Very close. 1, 2, 3, all 4 bikes in there at the same time. That's how close it is. This is the kind of racing we love to see at National Championship level. Good move there from Duval on the inside. Saliers might get demoted down 1 place. He does. Duval has just squeezed through there. Top of a star, Tristan Granger. The 50 bike of Arnu Simon now into the play as well. That's for the outside of that top 10. Kind of 9, 10 and 11th place that they're fighting for. McClellan moving his way up nicely. Looks like he might just be closing in on the front end of Dalton. Dalton Venter will have to keep his eyes open. Mixter up to third. Venter leads out, but look at McClellan. He's right there with him. Camden McClellan showing that international duties are definitely starting to pay off here. He gets late race pace due to the fact that internationally he runs a lot longer heats than what we do here in SA. So you'll see that he comes into his own later in the race as opposed to earlier. And here comes a possibility of a change up for the lead. He's right there as they head towards Ridgeway. Oh, massive air time, and he gets through in the air as well. Great move there from McClellan. He gets up front. Now, I think Dalton Fentel thinking to himself, hang on a second, I don't have to fight with Camden McClellan. Second place will be good enough. Let's see if he's going to be thinking that way. You never know with these guys. Checkered flag about to come out, though, and it is Camden McClellan who's going to take the win. Great run there from the Red Bull KTM man. It's CIT Husqvarna who comes through for second place, and Dalton Fenton with that second wraps up the national championship. Duval in third, and Mlimi in fourth. Good return for him. Calvin Jean-Jacques beating out Cilliers and Arnu Simon, with Travis Goosen in eighth place on the Tinswalo Racing Yamaha. Welcome back to Phakisa MX Park and our penultimate round of the National Motocross Championship, proudly brought to you by TRP and our associate sponsors. See a little bit of water being put down between the heats due to the fact that the wind picked up so badly and started to dry the circuit out. Dust became a big factor. Cam McClellan, after taking a win in the 125s, will definitely be looking for a chance now to possibly take a win in the 250s. But his two teammates are going to be the guys he needs to catch. Fitzgerald and Mlimi have been the class of the field, and only Slade Smith was able to run with their pace in race 1. Gates drop for race 2, and they head down towards turn 1, Bridgestone corner. And it looks like it might be Slade. No, it's not. Yo, it's literally the Red Bull Armada coming through there. What a start there once again from Kieran Fitzgerald. Side by side with Mlimi and Cam McClellan having to back out as they go down into turn 2 and up towards that Tinswalo step up. Amazing stuff through Pro Taper. Different lines coming out of Mlimi and from Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald takes that inside line. Caught a couple of riders out in the MX1 class last week, you would have seen. But now it is formation flying again at the front, and Slade Smith back into his usual spot of third. But under big attack, almost instantaneously there, from Brad Cox. Cox right up there. Mark Carty with a better start. He's now ahead of the 214. Looks like Jesse Wright didn't quite get the start he wanted, that's for sure now. A little bit further back than what he saw in race 1. They come flying through here. Kieran Fitzgerald trying to open up a comfortable margin so he can control it from the front end. It's kind of become his thing in this racing. He just gets away and then is able to control things comfortably. Doesn't have to push too hard. He gets the job done early on. Everybody else has got to do the work from behind, and that's exactly what they're trying to do there. 252. Good start there from Ricky Roth. He's just up ahead there of Fuckelslung and Cam Deroe. Where is McClellan? How far up is he? Looking in the background for the 122. There he is, right on Slade Smith's tail. So Cam McClellan trying to close down on Slade. Slade and gives him a big face full of roost down towards Ridgeway's corner. As they come up there, Fitzgerald is pushing it to the limit now. And look at how hard Mlimi is trying as well. Big rooster tail off that berm at the top end of the circuit. And McClellan on the inside of Slade Smith. Roth, Fuckelslung, Cam Deroe, much better start there from him this time too. Top 10 on is up for grabs here. And the top 10 are all fighting very closely. A lot closer than what it was in that first heat. More importantly though, where is the championship leader? Looks like Reynard has not got a good start again, and he's going to battle now because this has got worse and worse, this track. And of course, worse and worse means better for the riders. They love it. The rougher, the better. And it also slows things down and allows for the racing to tighten up just like it's doing right now. Top 2 just a little bit away now from Slade Smith. Smith also pulled a small margin over McClellan, but McClellan, I think, is just giving himself a bit of a roost gap there. Every time he gets up close and personal there to Slade Smith, he gets a face full of roost. There's Reynard. He's just got through on the 252, so it looks like just finding his way past on Ricky Roth. Now, has he got enough time? In fact, having enough time, I would be worried about the time that Kieran Fitzgerald's got over his teammate. There's one point on the circuit where Fitzgerald is quick, but the rest of the time, Mlimi closes him right down and possibly looks to spoil his day. Some good riding coming out of Mlimi. Great riding out of Reynard now as he's into 5th place and on the back end of Cam McClellan. 5th place for Reynard means he may lose the championship lead going into the final round. And of course, remember, I did mention it earlier on, he had to take into account that he had international duties to worry about too. You cannot afford to risk an injury heading to the motocross of Des Nations. And that's exactly what he's had in the back of his helmet the whole weekend long. Fitzgerald doesn't have to worry about that, neither has Mlimi. The two of them now starting to open up a big margin over Slade Smith. Smith trying to do the same thing, but McClellan has kept him honest, but McClellan has got worries of his own, because here comes that Tinswalo Yamaha. And the man from A Sports is definitely closing in on him rapidly. I think Cam McClellan will have to fend off the attack from Anthony Reynard and try and hang on to that 4th spot. One of his highest finishes in a 250 race, that's for sure. If McClellan finishes in the top 4, Reynard is concerned. I'm sure there's some concern on that pit board every time he goes past, saying 5th place is not going to be enough for the red plates. They come through now with a couple of laps to go, and it looks like Mlimi is going to try a last-ditch effort here to get through on Kieran Fitzgerald. Let's see whether or not he can make it stick. Slade controlling things, Cam, and equidistant there is Reynard. There's basically just roost gaps that those guys have got. Fuckelslung's got some problems though. Here comes Roth and Cox. not having the same kind of pace he had in race number 1, that's for sure. He's dropped back out of that top 6 battle. No worries at all for Red Bull KTM's 1 and 2. In formation flying again from Fitzgerald and Mlimi. Just showing the rest of the field how to go. Slade is under big threat though, but I think more importantly, he's lucky that McClellan is fighting Reynard and keeping him behind him. Otherwise, Reynard could be doing the same thing that McClellan is doing there on himself. They come to the checkered flag now. It's 1 and 2 yet again for the Red Bull TRP KTM team. Great run there from Fitzgerald. 2 out of 2 again. I think that makes it 6 out of 6 races he's won over the last couple of heats. Mlimi in second place ahead of Slade Smith and Cam McClellan. 3 Red Bulls in the top 4. And then you've got Reynard losing the championship lead there in 5th place ahead of Cox, Wright and Ricky Roth.
Yeah, it was a good day. Slade and Josh kept me on it. I was lucky enough to get 2 good starts, 2 whole shots. And that made my day a lot easier. Not that they made it any easier, but I made it easier on myself. But they were great. The track was great. And happy to do the double again. Take the points lead and 1 more round to go. Hopefully we can carry this momentum for 2 more races.
And that round happens at Terratopia on the 26th of October. After some fantastic race action here, expect more of the same with international superstar Ryan Villapolo joining the Monster Energy and Out of Africa team there at the final round. The TRP National Motocross action is proudly brought to you by Tinsualo Lodges, where else in the world? And all our associate sponsors.